I started CrossFit back in November 2014. I was a gymnast for 18 years, started at the age of 3, did it all the way through college until I was 21. Then I finished. I actually had a friend that did CrossFit and told me to start and that I would be really good at it. And I kept telling her, no, like, I'm done with gymnastics. I did it 18 years. I'm over it. I want nothing to do with it. So I did some weightlifting because the strength and conditioning coach that I had in college said I would be good at it. And I wanted to continue working out, just not do gymnastics. So I did some weightlifting and then unfortunately I had a couple injuries. I had a bulged disc in my back. I started to develop some carpal tunnel syndrome, so I couldn't do weightlifting anymore. So I moved to physique competing because I could work around my injuries to like work my legs. I didn't have to squat. I could do leg extensions and leg curls. So it was a lot easier to work around those injuries and I could continue to work out. But I did a physique show and decided I didn't want someone to tell me how I should look and that I was too muscular, not muscular enough, not lean enough. And I wanted to do something that was more based on numbers. So then after that, I did powerlifting, did one competition, and still my friend was like, CrossFit, CrossFit. So finally, in November 2014, after I did a powerlifting competition, I decided to start CrossFit. So I've been doing it for almost 5 years now. One thing that CrossFit has really taught me is just the balance of being good at endurance and at gymnastics and at strength. And people are always like, well, you do strength training, you can't do any kind of endurance, or it's just gonna hurt your endurance, or it's gonna hurt the gymnastics. And it's just helped me become a much more rounded athlete. And then I think outside of that, just a much more rounded person. Just like pushing my limits physically in the gym also helps like me pushing my limits mentally, like outside the gym, whether I'm like training a client and trying to come up with like a better program for them, or I just started doing some online coaching and I have like an ab program and just kind of like pushing my limits to that and seeing how creative and how good of a program I can make for other people. And I think I've always been a competitor, but I think it continues to help me bring out that competitive side. And no matter what it is in my life, I just try and be the best at it. I think it's important for young girls to start CrossFit. I was a gymnast, and unfortunately and unfortunately, there's a lot of eating disorders that go along with that. And I think part of it, like when I was 15, 16, I dealt a little bit with that, like a coach telling me that I looked a little chubby one day and that he could tell I ate birthday cake, and it kind of messed with my head a little bit. And then 2 weeks went by and I lost weight, and he's like, oh, you lost weight, now you look good. So that was something that, like, you know, around that age, you're very vulnerable to whatever people are saying. And I think CrossFit just finds that good balance of being able to eat healthy and not being afraid of just being like a stick or like someone saying that you're too strong or you're too bulky or whatever, just because it kind of is the body type that goes along with it, but you're stronger. And I think, I mean, now that I'm stronger, I feel like more independent, and it just helps you fall into the person that you actually are and the person that you want to be, instead of trying to be something that somebody else tells you that you should be. Definitely this year, I had an expectation. I really wanted to end up on the podium. Like me and my coach had talked about it. I was 6th last year, and obviously you just want to continue to improve. And the podium, I felt like, was the closest this year that it's been in any year. Like after the first day, I was in 1st place. Obviously, 2 very good events for me were the 1st and 2nd event. And you know that there's gonna be a lot of different tests though, so you just continue to give your best. Me and my coach sit down and talk about what went right, what went wrong, things that we messed up strategy-wise, things that we did perfectly, and I just have to continue to work on some of my weaknesses, like my leg strength, and know that once those improve, then I will earn that spot on the podium. So I definitely consider the Games of 2019 to be a good experience. It was a really good test of different things. We had a long ruck run, we had a lot of gymnastics, high skill, there was pegboards, ring muscle ups, a lot of different workouts for different durations, and there was strength stuff, there was cardio, there was gymnastics. It was a good mix of everything. Obviously it was a little different with the cuts happening, but it just made sure that you performed with each and every event and you didn't take anything for granted. So some people were like, oh, are you gonna strategize and like, take it easy on the first couple workouts so that you can do better when it gets a little later on. And I was like, even though I expect to be in the top 10, I can't take anything for granted. So each workout, I'm gonna leave everything out on the floor and do my best. And like I said, I ended up in the top 10 and then finished off 5th in the world.